So you want to start a video podcast, but this is your budget, $100. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to get the most bang for your buck, both for your camera, audio, and lighting, to make sure you have a high quality, great sounding video podcast that you can be proud of. Everything you see in this video collectively is under $100, and I've used this exact setup to do video podcasts remotely from hotel rooms, outside of an Airbnb, and you can use all this gear even at home to get high quality video and audio. And while I show you how to get the best gear for under $100, I'm also going to give you 25 tips on how to use that gear. That's right, under $100, 25 tips. Let's go. So when it comes to starting to spend money on gear, there's three main categories: camera, audio, and lighting. And that can range from like tens of dollars to thousands of dollars. But we're going to go through each category, and I'm going to share what to buy that I've used for my own podcasting that still sounds and looks great. Number one, let's talk about your camera. There's lots of cameras out there, dedicated webcams, all the way up to mirrorless cameras. But if your budget is under $100, if you've watched this channel before, you already know. Use your phone. Your phone camera is going to be the best quality camera you can get before you get to like mirrorless cameras. And I've tested a bunch of webcams ranging from like $30 or $40 all the way up to over $300 dedicated webcams, and none of them look as good as your mobile phone. It's going to be better in low light, better in white balance, and it's just going to look better quality. Plus, you can use the Riverside app to record 4K video and not take up space on your phone. So that's tip number one, use your phone. Tip number two, get a mount so you don't have to be holding your phone or precariously balancing it on some books. You can get a mount where your phone will go on your computer for under 20 bucks. Usually this will hold the phone here and then slide onto your laptop lid, and they make some for desktops as well. But you can also use a phone clamp and a tripod, which we'll get to in a second. And that's actually tip number three. An even better solution than an on-computer clip is get an inexpensive tripod. You can get different kind of mounts, especially one that has a cold shoe mount, which I'll talk about in a second, or just plain expanding clamps. Getting a tripod like this is well worth your budget. You can get something from Newer or other brands for under $20. This tripod can actually curl around certain things, or just use it right on your desk. If you want a little more height, you can get a tripod like this, which will actually extend up, and I'll put links to both of those in the video description below. So tip number three, get a tripod. And number four, charge your phone while you record. Now, if you're using a USB mic and your phone, which is something you can do, have an entire video just using your phone and USB mics, you can check that out up here. But charging your phone means you don't have to worry about the battery, so you can record a 1, 2, 3 hour podcast and not even think about it. So plug your phone in while you record, or at the very least, you can use a MagSafe battery to keep it charged during the time you're filming. Tip number five, if you want to use your laptop or desktop computer to record, you can use the continuity camera feature with an iPhone and a Mac. Seamlessly use that phone as a webcam, and it works great in Riverside. I have an entire video on continuity camera. If you want to learn more about that, check it out above, and that link is in the description. And tip number six here in the camera section, if you want to use your mobile device as a camera, but you don't have an iPhone or a Mac, there are multiple software options out there that will work with both iPhone and Android, Windows and Mac, cross-platform, and I have an entire video on those as well. You can find it down in the description. All right, category number two, let's talk about audio. This is where a majority of those $100 are going to go to get the most bang for your buck. Now, you can use the built-in microphone on your device, whether it's a mobile device, tablet, or a computer. And there's actually a great feature called Riverside Magic Audio, which is when you record with Riverside, it can make any microphone sound studio quality. Here's an example that I recorded with just my iPhone, the Riverside app, with Magic Audio applied. So here we are outside, lots of background noise. There's a waterfall going here. My pool pump is in the background. But when I turn on Magic Audio, all that background noise is going to be cut out. And again, it's going to be focusing on my voice and applying things behind the scenes to make it sound studio quality. But tip number eight, the best place to spend most of that $100 is on a good quality USB microphone. This is a microphone I recommend the most often. It is the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. It is a USB microphone, so you can plug this directly into an iPhone 15 or iPad and newer, or XLR, so you can plug this into an audio interface in the future when you upgrade your setup. And this microphone actually sounds really good. My co-host on a movie podcast I do uses this microphone, and he's been doing it for years and years. It sounds great.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
Shoot
for the moon. Even if you miss, you land among the stars.
All right, tip number 10, get a pair of wired headphones. When you're recording, especially with a mobile device and USB microphone, you can plug these headphones directly into the mic. This way you can hear your own voice, which is important when recording, and your remote guests. Plus, you don't have to worry about battery life instead of using wireless headphones or AirPods. You can get wired headphones for like $10 on Amazon. We'll put a link down below, and it should be part of that $100 budget. Tip number 11, if you're using a microphone like this, you don't want to be holding it the whole time you record. Many times little movements while you're recording, even with a USB microphone, will make little pops and clicks in the recording. If at all possible, you don't want to be holding the microphone. Now this microphone that I recommended, which is about $50, half of your budget, but well worth it, you can actually get one with a windscreen, which is going to be my next tip, and a stand for the microphone. So that can all come included, but just make sure you're not actually holding the microphone. If you do want to spend some more budget, you can get something like a microphone arm, which is more flexible. You can place the microphone wherever you would like it, and then just get it out of the frame when you're doing something else. Tip number 12, like you see in this package, it comes with a windscreen. A windscreen like this can be used outside to cut down on wind noise, but you also want to use it inside because it's going to cut down on some of the plosives, like when you say P's and B's. When you say words like that, it can hit the microphone and make pops and clicks, and it's just not going to be a pleasure to listen to. So you can get a windscreen like this, even a pop filter on top of that, one of those screens that you put in front of the microphone. You can even get nicely branded windscreens, like from Riverside. But in addition to the windscreen and pop filters, an important tip is number 13, which is microphone technique. I have an entire video on mic technique. You could check it out above, but you don't want to put a microphone too close. You're going to hear a lot of mouth sounds that way, a lot of those plosives. You also don't want to put it too far because it's going to pick up more room noise. It's going to be echoey and reverby. So keep your microphone about a fist length distance from your mouth, maybe a little bit off at an angle, about 45 degrees. This way we'll pick up less mouth noises, but it's close enough to pick up your voice and still sound high quality. Number 14 is environment. When it comes to your audio quality, the room you're recording in has a lot to do with it. If you're in a very echoey room because it's large or there's just a lot of hard surfaces like hard floors, not much on the walls or furniture, it's going to make it difficult to remove that in your edit. You can use Riverside Magic Audio for that, but we would recommend trying to find a room that is less echoey. That could be a bedroom, or if you're doing audio-only content, your closet is actually a great place because all those clothes can actually absorb that echo and reverb. But if you only have one room to record in, tip number 15 is try to get some pillows, maybe some furniture in that room that can soak up some of the sound, or if you have any budget above those $100, you can get some sound panels. There's inexpensive ones on Amazon. Anything to reduce that echo and reverb to make sure you sound great. And that was tip number 16. Sound treatment goes a long way. I do an entire video talking about my studio space here, which is actually a really small room and took a lot of sound treatment on the ceiling, on every wall, even in front of the door. I'll put a link to that video down in the description if you want to see this studio behind the scenes and all the sound treatment I did there. All right, in the third category after camera and audio is lighting. Lighting has a huge part to play in your video quality and how you look. Now, tip number 17 is you can use natural lighting. If you have a window that you can sit facing, don't put the window behind you, that creates a silhouetted look. That can look pretty good. Even going outside, I recorded an entire podcast just outside because I was traveling, I didn't have any lights with me, and that can actually look great. This was that episode I recorded just outside with no other lighting. And tip number 18, I would avoid ring lights. While they can be inexpensive, they tend to be very harsh, and if you put them really close, it just is not a very becoming look. That's why tip number 19, I would recommend getting a small light like this. This is actually a SmallRig LED light. You can get it for about $20 on Amazon. This actually can mount to a cold shoe mount. So if you have a phone mount like this, it'll actually slide in and you can tighten it. And this way it'll sit just right above your phone as you record. Click the on button. You can change the intensity using the dial here, and you can also change the color temperature. If I click this wheel, I can change it to a more warm tone or a cooler tone. This is a really versatile light, and it kind of has a little diffuser in the front, so it's not going to be as harsh on your face. Now, tip number 20, if you do have the budget later to upgrade your light, you can get a larger SmallRig light. This one is even bigger, so it's going to spread that light out even more, has this nice silicone softbox. This one's about $70 or $80, but lighting is worth the upgrade when you can do it. By the way, both of these are rechargeable via USB-C, which means you can use these at home or on the go. And tip number 21 is placement of that light. You don't want to have your light too low, that's going to give you a spooky look, or too close, that's going to be really harsh. Try to have that light a few feet away from you, try to raise it up 45 degrees if possible, and that's going to create an even lighting across your face. I have entire videos on lighting tips. You can check those out in the video description as well. And number 22, when it comes to color temperature, you want to play around with color temperature, maybe do a couple test settings. Too cool of a temperature, it's going to look blue and kind of sickly. Too warm, and it's going to look real orangey. So play around with what looks good with your skin tones and face, and just try to go for natural looking skin tones. All right, and the final 3 tips, when you're recording video podcasts and using your mobile device or tablet, That's going to take up a lot of space if you're recording directly on device. So use the Riverside app. Tip number 23, the Riverside app is available for all platforms, iPhone, Android, and iPad. You can record anywhere, and those recordings happen locally while you're doing the recording with you and your remote guests, but then it gets uploaded to your Riverside dashboard and won't take up any space on your phone, which is huge. Tip number 24, Riverside works great both for solo content, which you can record in up to 4K, and you can invite remote guests who can join you from a computer, from their mobile device, wherever they are. And tip number 25, Riverside makes it incredibly easy to edit and produce lots of content from that recording. After you record with Riverside, you can jump into the editor, either on mobile or on desktop. Use our AI tools like remove silence, remove filler words, add animated captions, and change the format in just a click. Also, you can use our tools like Magic Clips, which will generate vertical videos from your long-form content in just a few seconds. Not to mention our AI-generated show notes, automatically generated chapter markers throughout your recording, text overlays, image overlays, and even adding background music now all in the Riverside editor, and exporting your final project in up to 4K quality. So that's 25 tips for building a great video podcast setup for under $100. So if you want to learn more, maybe how to live stream with Riverside, I have a video on that right up here. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Riverside channel and hit that like button before you go. Lots of new features and tutorials coming soon. If you have any questions on the gear I talked about or any suggestions of your own, leave comments below this video. I'll answer you personally. And if you want to learn more about recording, maybe specifically with an iPhone, you want to do everything from there, both edit, record, and publish, I have an entire video tutorial on that. You can check it out right up here. Thanks for watching. We can't wait to see what you create.